Let's be completely honest for a second. You open up a Cambridge Computer Science past paper. Maybe it's a 0417, an 0478, a 2210, a 9618, or in this specific case, the notoriously brutal 9626 syllabus. You flip to the section on user interfaces. You see a massive, terrifying question staring back at you about dialogue and gesture-based interfaces. The clock is ticking, the pressure is on. What do? Well, let me introduce you to two types of students. First, we have Alex. Alex is a walking encyclopedia. Alex overloads the exam paper with raw, unfiltered computer science facts, paragraphs upon paragraphs about microphones, voice recognition software, and infrared cameras, but zero analysis, zero connection to the scenario. Then we have Sam. Sam is panicking about the clock. Sam rushes in, totally misses the command word requirements, like the difference between describe and evaluate, and ends up answering a completely different question than the one the examiner actually asked. Both of them walk out of the exam hall feeling pretty good. Both of them end up with red pen marks all over their papers, wondering where it all went wrong. Well, welcome to this explainer. I'm going to show you exactly where it goes wrong and, more importantly, how to fix it. We are not just going to read through textbook definitions today. We are adopting a hacker mentality. We are looking for the back door into every single question. We're going to explore exactly what the examiners are desperately searching for, how to construct bulletproof answers, and how to work smarter, not harder, to secure those top marks.
Here's the exact blueprint for our session. We'll start with the examiner's warning, then move into interface core principles, unpack the procedural framework, level up with comparative analysis strategies, and finally tear down the top exam mistakes.
Section 1. The examiner's warning. Okay, I need you to listen really closely to this direct quote pulled straight from the senior examiner's report. Examiners report that 2.5 user interfaces, dialogue interface, gesture-based interface is one of the most misunderstood areas in information technology. Let that sink in. The people who write the test, the people who literally decide your final grade, are waving a massive red flag. They are practically begging students to pay attention to this. If you have been struggling to wrap your head around this specific topic, your anxiety is completely validated. It is officially one of the hardest, most consistently botched parts of the syllabus. Why? Because students, like Alex, think they can just memorize what a gesture interface is and regurgitate it onto the page. But that doesn't work here. The examiners aren't testing your memory, they are testing your logic. But don't worry, because we are going to clear up that misunderstanding right here, right now, by completely rewiring how you approach these questions.
Here is the absolute reality of Cambridge information technology exams. They test far more than just your ability to memorize hardware specs. The assessment objectives for this section target three distinct cognitive domains: knowledge and understanding, application, and analysis. This is the exact trap Alex falls into. Alex only hits the first domain, knowledge. Knowing that a dialogue interface uses spoken word commands is great, but it gets you maybe 1 mark. The grading framework heavily prioritizes analytical depth. You can't just list off facts, you have to prove you can apply them. This is where top students use the PEAL framework: point, evidence, explanation, link. You make your point about the interface. You provide evidence from the specific scenario given in the exam paper. You write an explanation of how that interface technology functions in this context. And crucially, you link it back to why it matters to the user in the scenario. This structured reasoning is what examiners are desperately looking for. It is the absolute difference between a passing grade and an outstanding grade.
Section 2. Interface core principles.
The most crucial mental shift you need to make right now is understanding what these interfaces actually represent to the examiner. Dialogue and gesture interfaces aren't just vocabulary words. They are conceptual frameworks. They require systematic analysis and evidence-based reasoning. But I want you to focus on this exact phrase: mastery transferable to unfamiliar contexts. The core challenge isn't just knowing how a gesture-based system works in isolation. It's possessing a deeply connected understanding so that when Cambridge throws a completely bizarre, unfamiliar scenario at you, say a gesture interface for a surgeon in a sterile operating theater, or a dialogue interface for a crawl operator in a noisy construction site, you don't panic, you just calmly apply those core principles to the new environment. Before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE, to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now.
Section 3. The procedural framework.
All right, get ready, because I am about to hand you the secret backdoor to unlocking full marks. We call it the method mark strategy. In this section of the syllabus, marks are heavily awarded for the analytical process, not just the final conclusion you arrive at. Examiners are looking for systematic processing. Think of it like a math problem. If you just write down the final number without showing how you calculated it, you lose the majority of the points. It is the exact same thing in computer science.
They want to see your working out, they want to see your logical flow, they want to see your methodology mapped out clearly on the page. Jumping straight to the final answer, saying yes, a dialogue interface is better, without meticulously detailing how you got there, literally leaves major marks sitting on the table. Following a standardized, repeatable sequence is absolutely essential to grabbing every single mark available.
So, what is that sequence? When you sit down and tackle a massive exam question on these interfaces, you must follow this standard 5-step sequence. We call this the Computer Science Success Blueprint. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. This is where Sam fails. You must decode the command words. Is it asking you to identify, describe, explain, or evaluate? Each of those words demands a totally different style of answer. Step 2. Extract relevant data. Pull the specific constraints right out of the given scenario. Step 3. Select the analytical framework. This is where you deploy your Peel method: point, evidence, explanation, link. Step 4. Execute with clear notation. This ties into the time management matrix. Don't spend 20 minutes on a 4-mark question. Execute cleanly and move on. And finally, Step 5. Present the final result with correct, professional terminology. Walking through this exact systematic processing prevents you from freezing up. No matter how complex or weird the past paper gets, you never panic. You just run the system. Steps 1 through 5. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2-3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to @acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions.
Section 4. Comparative Analysis Strategies.
When the syllabus demands critical analysis, it is specifically asking you to evaluate alternatives. This is where the highest marks live. This means actively identifying both similarities and differences between interfaces, and you have to use specific comparative connectives to do it. You literally cannot just list the features of a dialogue interface in one isolated paragraph and then list the features of a gesture interface in the next completely separate paragraph. The examiner will not connect the dots for you. You must link them together using words like whereas, however, or in contrast to. You have to support each of those comparisons with justified evidence straight from the text. And then, ultimately, you have to draw clear, logical conclusions about their relative importance in this specific scenario. It's a structured debate on paper.
To pull off that elite level of comparative analysis, you need to develop what the Cambridge examiners explicitly refer to as evaluative thinking habits. Top-tier, A-star candidates consistently do 3 specific things when they analyze. First, they question assumptions within the scenario. They don't just accept that a gesture interface is automatically the best choice. They look for its flaws. Second, they actively consider different perspectives. For example, how does an end user experience a voice-controlled dialogue interface compared to the system administrator who has to maintain its security? Those are 2 very different viewpoints. And third, they justify every single decision with rock-solid evidence. Adopting these specific evaluative thinking habits when you are analyzing any interface approach is exactly what elevates a completely average, mediocre paper to an outstanding top percentile one.
Section 5. Top exam mistakes.
Let's move into our interactive workshop space. Think of this as our Find the Flaw challenge. Every single year, examiners read thousands of papers, and every single year, students bleed crucial marks by making the exact same easily avoidable mistakes. Here are the top 3 directly from the reports. Number 1, forgetting to include the proper format. Number 2, failing to check that format and presentation before rushing to the next question. And number 3, and listen to me, this is the absolute biggest red flag for examiners across the globe, providing generic answers that are not specific to the context given in the question.
Let's look at a live transformation. This is the classic trap. Imagine a student writes a generic textbook answer that defines a gesture interface perfectly. It's grammatically correct, it's technically accurate, but the examiner takes their red pen and gives it 0 marks. Why? Because examiners ruthlessly penalize generic answers. They want to see the green check marks of a context-linked scenario answer. It takes that exact same technical knowledge, but strictly links every single point back to the exam scenario using the PL framework. If the exam question is about a gesture interface in a sterile medical environment, you literally cannot just talk about gesture interfaces in general. You must explicitly link the camera technology and the lack of physical touch to the specific hygiene needs of the surgeons operating in that room. You have to tell the examiner why it matters in this specific room. That is the only way you gain the marks.
Furthermore, you have to remember that your practical application in these exams is meant to mirror and develop professional IT skills. This means your presentation must follow strict professional conventions. Examiners aren't just looking at your ideas, they are evaluating proper headings, the absolute correct technical terminology. Don't just say talking to the computer, say natural language processing dialogue interface. They want appropriate formats and incredibly clear annotation. How you present your data to the examiners matters just as much as what you present. Sloppy, disorganized formatting can easily drag down a brilliantly analyzed answer. You have to treat the exam paper like a professional technical report.
So before we wrap up, we are going to do a quick 30-second speed challenge. Based on the procedural framework we just broke down, I highly recommend creating a memory hack. Try building a mnemonic right now using the first letters of the key interface terms, or those 5 critical steps we discussed earlier. Deconstruct, extract, select, execute, present. Having a customized memory trick hardwired into your brain will massively help you bypass panic and retain these technical methodologies when the clock is ticking in the exam hall. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Which brings us to our final, most important question. Ask yourself right now, are you just like Alex, memorizing generic interface facts and hoping for the best? Or are you ready to execute the examiner's procedural framework and secure the marks you actually deserve? Hopefully, this explainer has given you the ultimate hacker's backdoor to stop relying on rote textbook memorization and start applying the systematic, context-linked analysis that actually forces the examiner to give you top marks. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to acetheexams_IGCS and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. Ace the Exams, your Cambridge success starts here. Keep analyzing, keep practicing those scenarios, and we will see you in the next explainer.